Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the NBA Front Office Show. Hope you all had a wonderful and safe Halloween. I will admit I have already taken, let's just call it more than one piece of candy out of my daughter's candy stash. Just don't tell her. Keith, how about you? Have you rated the candy stash yet?
See, so ours is now graduated to being too cool to trick or treat.
Okay.
But I might have snuck a little thing of Reese's Pieces before we gave out all the candy. So I'll cop to that. But that's it. I've been pretty good. Other than that, I didn't go too deep into the candy. And we actually, as I was telling you before we started recording, we ran out of candy. This year we had like 300 kids, which is like crazy.
Cool.
Like it was just, and that was in like a 2-hour window too. And we were like done by like 8:30. Thank God my mom repeatedly over the years has sent Bella like packages upon packages that included glow sticks in them. And we were able to give some of those out. And you'd be surprised how many kids were like, yeah, I already have a ton of candy, but I don't have any glow sticks. Give me the glow sticks. So there we were, and all wrapped up and nice and tidy. And I was in watching basketball by like 8:30 last night. So it all worked out pretty well.
Speaking of watching basketball, did you see that Spurs Suns finish?
Yes.
Good Lord. Unbelievable. I thought at one point in the third, it was like a big Suns. I don't remember exactly how many points, but it was enough to where I went, oh, okay. The Suns are just going to coast the rest of the way in this one. And then I checked again towards the end of the fourth and I went, wait, how is this close? So I flipped it on real quick and lo and behold, Keldon Johnson steals it from Kevin Durant, scores, and the Spurs go into Phoenix on Halloween and scare up a win.
Yeah, I mean, in a clean rip too. Like they I'm sure Suns fans will scream foul, but I didn't see one. It looked pretty clean. Yeah, the Spurs they're going to play games like that, right? Where all of a sudden they catch you and you weren't ready for it and those kind of things. They're going to play games like I think it was the game right before where they played the Clippers and get killed because they're just inconsistent shooting. Their playmaking is a little, weird outside of Wembanyama. So I think it's fine. I just, I think people went a little too crazy with Spurs playoffs after they saw Wemby play. And it's that's not a thing. Like they're going to take some time. I'm super excited, man. I get to see him tomorrow night in Phoenix. When I'm out there. So I'm really excited to see Wembanyama play. I got to see him in Vegas, obviously, but this is real now, right? This is the real deal. So, and I'm fingers crossed, maybe Beal or Booker will play for the Suns. I don't know. I'm not really expecting it, but that'd be cool too, to be able to see them full go.
Oh, it is one of those back-to-back. You play the same team twice.
Yeah.
One of those. Let's cut down on travel games. I did not see that. Okay, so they get the Spurs again. That's interesting. I have a feeling the Suns are going to come out a little annoyed.
I think so too. Yeah, which is also fun. If I'm in the building, I'll get to see maybe one of those all-time KD nights that are always fun to be present for.
Yeah, he can be unstoppable at times, and I have a feeling he will be a little cranky after having the ball stolen from him. On that one. All right, we do have
total aside from basketball.
Oh, yeah.
You're bundled up. I'm bundled up. Obviously, winter is rolled in for whatever amount of time.
For now, it'll be back to summer in like a week.
Exactly, in like a day or so. But I just got a text from my buddy Pete in Vermont. And I'm going to mention it because he's a diehard listener to the show. It's snowing today.
Oh my God!
They're getting snow right now. So, yeah, good times.
Wow. Good times. That cold front, it moved in.
There it is.
It moved in. We're getting the winter preview right now.
There it is.
All right, let's get into this one. James Harden, trade bonus. He still got one, kind of, sort of. What's the deal here? Why did he only get like a tiny little sliver of a trade bonus?
Yeah, as we covered, this deal under the salary matching rules with both teams being second apron teams and the like, they squeaked this in by $40,595. So James Harden, apparently in his representation, said, actually, you squeaked it in by zero. Give us that amount of his bonus. As we've covered before, when a player is a trade bonus, they can waive all of it, some of it, none of it. But if it's to make a deal work, they're allowed to waive as much of it as they would like to, and he waived all of it, but enough to have a nice night out, I guess, for him at a local Los Angeles establishment. I'm guessing with they've got several days off. He's very, very unlikely to play tonight against the Magic, and then they've got, I think it's 4 full days off before their next game. So I imagine James Harden's going to be doing a little bit of this action, out there and
he's
making it rain a bit.
He's going to be. You're referring to Disneyland, right? He'll be going to Disneyland. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what he's going to do. That's definitely.
If you see James Harden, you better put up your umbrella because there's a good chance he's making it rain.
Oh man! Hey Keith, did I tell you that's we try to do something during the All-Star break each year, and that's what we've landed. It's going to be the surprise for nobody. Tell her it's going to be a surprise for our daughter for Christmas. But
so don't tell her this or the candy.
Right? Don't tell her about this or the candy. So once she starts watching the show, I'm ruined. But we're taking her to Disneyland during the All-Star.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm just jealous because you're going to get to see the Avengers campus.
That's part of it. She's big into Avengers and all that kind of stuff. And we're like, well, she hadn't seen this before, so we better go check that out.
Yeah. I'm jealous, man. I can't wait to check that out too. Maybe I'll swing in a stop when I'm in Phoenix. I'm almost there.
You're close. It's like a 6.5 hour drive or so.
You could do it over for the day. Yeah. I'm sure that'd go over real well in my family. I will say, just because people ask, like, are you going just to see Wembanyama? No, that's just a happy
bonus.
Circumstance. I'm actually going to be a part of Arizona State University's law school is putting on a NBA mock trade deadline that they are sponsoring. So there's kids coming in from schools literally all over the country. And I think there's a couple international students coming in as well. Some of them are in teams, some of them are individuals, but they'll come in, they're going to represent all 30 teams, and they're going to have basically a day, full day. We've already opened up the a legal tampering period where they can start talking with each other, but they have a full day where they can make trades with each other and then come in or not make trades if they see so fit. And then each team has to then put together a short presentation about what they did, like what their goals were, why they did and didn't do different moves and the like. And then they're going to be judged. There's a whole bunch of people, folks who cover the league, folks who are in the league that work for teams that are coming in to judge the event, and they're going to pick winners, and that they'll get a little prize at the end and some recognition in that. And it's a chance for some of these students who maybe want to work in basketball someday to liaison and work with some folks. So super excited. Spot Track is one of the presenting sponsors of the event. They're the official cap sheet provider for the event for all the students. So I'm super excited to go out. I'm really honored to have been asked to be a part of this and to go out and have a lot of fun, with this group of kids and, get to meet everybody and talk to everybody and yes, see Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs play the Suns as well.
So, and first of all, that's going to be awesome. And congratulations on getting to go do that. That's going to be a blast. I am slightly jealous, I'll admit on that. But you're going to have a great time. And that means that Thursday, Friday, so tomorrow and Friday, just our schedule may be a little bit off for
weird.
That. We can't promise that we're going to have shows those days. No, it's going to depend on what things look like once Keith gets into town in Phoenix. Then we'll kind of figure things out from there. Keith, if I can make a request, Friday night, go ahead over to Mill Avenue, man, and you'll have some fun. I've had quite a few good nights over there on Mill Avenue by ASU. A long time ago. But
yeah, I don't know. That's in the realm for my for me. They're probably gonna be like, who brought their dad? Like, why is he here? So I don't know. I mean, I don't even think I can pull off older brother or cool uncle anymore. It's probably like, why is someone's dad here? So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. You know firsthand from being with me in Las Vegas how absolutely well I handle the time change when it's about
That's
7
right.
p.m. and I'm like, I think I'm gonna go to bed.
I'm going to sleep.
I don't do well with the time change, so I'm gonna be I'll be struggling a little bit. So if any students want to sneak in a couple of legal trades during the trade period, get them to me later in the trade window because it'll be late my time, and I may be like, yeah, that's good, approved, just push it through.
Half asleep.
Yeah,
Done. No
yeah,
problem.
yeah, yeah. Giannis for a minimum guy, yeah, I think that works. So
No salary matching. All right, let's get into the rookie scale options that have been picked up. A bunch of them came out in the last 24 hours or so.
Yep.
Obviously, with the
Deadlock
clock ticking there. Yep, we're there. So I know you've got the list. You want to run through who got their rookie scale options picked up?
Sure, yeah. So rather than run through the entirety of the 2022 class. So what this is, just so everybody refresher if you don't know, players on rookie scale contracts, so first round draft picks, the teams have until October 31st at the end of the night to pick up all of the options for players. So that's either their first or second year options as they move for, or I'm sorry, their third or fourth year, first or second time they can do it. So third or fourth year options for the 2022 class, as a reminder, that's like Paulo Banchero, Chet Holmgren, Jabari Smith, that draft class. Those guys were their third year options. Every player had their option picked up except for Ty Washington, who had gotten waived. Earlier, if we remember, he was traded from the Rockets to the Thunder, then no, I'm sorry, Rockets to the Hawks to the Thunder, and then the Thunder ultimately waived Ty Washington. So he was the only one from that class. So that's the easy one. There were a couple maybe shaky ones that we weren't so sure, like was Johnny Davis going to see his picked up. That one, what was a little more uncertain, Patrick Baldwin Jr., that was a little uncertain, oddly enough, both with the Wizards now, but Washington picked them up. The 2021 class, so this was guys' fourth year options, so their final year of their rookie scale contract. This is the draft class: Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green, Evan Mobley, that class. They had 6 players not have their options picked up. So the ones that weren't picked up from this class: 11th overall pick, James Bouknight with the Hornets. 12th overall pick, Joshua Primo with the Spurs. So Bouknight's was declined. Primo obviously was waived last year by the Spurs. He's now with the Clippers on a two-way. Then we jump down to 19th overall pick, Kai Jones with the Hornets. He was obviously waived earlier this preseason. 21st overall pick, Keon Johnson. He bounced around. He was with the Clippers, then with the Trailblazers. He landed with the Suns. He got waived at the end of the preseason when they just didn't have a roster spot for him. Then 23rd overall pick, Usman Garuba. He was in that same deal with Washington, from Rockets to Hawks to Thunder, and waived. And then 24th overall pick, Josh Christopher, also with the Rockets, and he got traded to the Memphis Grizzlies, and then the Grizzlies waived him in a cutdown. So 6 players, all not making it to the end of the rookie scale contract from that draft class. That's not super high amount. It's generally in that range for reasons with that, but to have that many of them waived is a little bit different. But you saw obviously Charlotte, disaster draft class for them, lottery pick and another guy top 20 pick, completely wash out of the league already. That's not great. Well, I guess Bouknight's in the league, but not to make it to the end of his contract. And then Houston, that's what happens when you draft a million guys, a couple years in a row, and then want to use cap space to build up your roster. You kind of run out of roster spots pretty quickly. That's what happened, and they had to, move and pay to get off some contracts and get some guys waived. So yeah, there we are with the rookie scale options.
Well, and I think it all underscores that the draft is there's still a lot of uncertainty, even when you get top picks. I was thinking about this the other day, when all the James Harden trade stuff went down. When you think about the process with Philly, and I know they didn't really get to see it through, some things came in to, the NBA stepped in and put a stop to some of that. And, Hinkie died for this and everything. But when you think about even getting all the top picks that they did, Philly, like, thank goodness Joel Embiid became an MVP, which is not normally what you would predict. But you look at, Jahlil Okafor, Markel Fultz, Ben Simmons. Like, even getting those top picks, there's not a lot of certainty in the draft. And so when you look at, some of the options that wind up just, they're a few years in and you're already, you are super high on a player in the draft and thinking, oh, this is going to work out great. And next thing you know, the guy's, has his option declined. And at the very least, his time with that team is probably going to come to an end sooner rather than later. And again, just reminds us that there is no certainty in the draft. Obviously, you can improve your odds with a higher pick that you get somebody that's going to really come in and be a difference maker for you. But even then, there's no guarantee that you're getting the star that you're hoping to land. There is that kind of randomness to it.
And it also, I think, speaks to players are playing longer than ever. So veterans are not cycling out of the league quite as quickly. Every time a second round pick pops, in a very real sense, you can think of it as there's a good chance of first rounders losing a job. So if you have guys like Herb Jones or Andrew Nemhard or even undrafted guys like Austin Reeves, every time one of them sticks and stays on a roster, somebody else has to lose a job, and that's not always going to be a veteran guy. I think it also speaks to when we get to the amount of players that were on the free agent market late in the year, some of the guys who got cut at the end of the cut down period, it all speaks to, I think we're ready for expansion. I know it sounds like a broken record with that, and we talk about it a lot on the show, but I think we're really at a spot where it's time. Like, there's enough talent. Yes, those two teams will, and I'm saying two because that's what I assume it will be. Those two teams will be bad, probably for a couple years at least.
Yeah.
But that's because the NBA puts a lot of restrictions. They operate under a lesser salary cap. They can't usually get as high a draft picks, all the things that go with that. But those two teams will come in. They'll be bad for a couple years, but eventually just the talent is so great in the league that it will cycle through, and eventually they'll get to a place where they end up probably pretty good. So I it's just time. There's too many good players who aren't in the league right now or are on these third two-way spots and those kind of things. So it's definitely time. We can add 36 more jobs if we count, the 15 standard on each team and the 3 two-ways, I think, without diluting the product too much from what it has been historically.
Agreed. By the way, news just came out. We knew it was coming, but the Nets officially announced that they've signed Keon Johnson to a 2-way contract.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, we heard that was coming, and that's good for them. I think Keon Johnson's an interesting guy. Probably play a little bit more than he's getting chances. He was just on a very good Clippers team that didn't need him. Portland was a mess while he was there, and then the Suns just had no roster spot for him. So I still kind of like Keon Johnson. I think he can play. I do want one thing before we come off this topic. There's only one real surprise one that got picked up to me, and that was Jaden Springer of the 76ers. Especially after the trade, it looked like the Sixers were like, we are clearing the decks of everything we can, potentially all the way down to just Embiid and Maxey, and then cap space galore. It's $4 million. So Philly's like, man, we're $4 million shy of getting player X. They'll find a way to salary dump them. They now have the extra picks. They've got those couple of seconds that they picked up in this trade if they need to. So they'll move him. He's also been playing under Nick Nurse, which is a new thing. He didn't play much under Doc Rivers, so Nick Nurse seems to like him. So maybe that's part of this thing there too. But $4 million isn't going to keep them from doing anything really, or at least it shouldn't. So, but still a little surprising that they picked his option up, given where he's been as a player and what their stated goals are for the remainder of this season and going into the summer.
Yeah, especially since it seemed like that's what they were hell bent on, was making sure that they preserved that. But nonetheless, they do pick that up. And again, like you said, easy enough to move. All right. Should we just start the Malcom Brogdon to the Lakers rumors right now? Like, I'm sure it's already happening on social media.
Somehow, I don't think we're starting them. I think we're about 12 hours late on those getting started. Hey, speaking of, thanks, dude, in the comments, who's like, thanks for 11 hours after the Harden trade broke. Like, come on, man. I will also say I listened to every podcast about the Harden trade that was out. Well, every major podcast. They all were up after we had our show up. So I don't want to hear it. We actually benefited, I think, by being later because we knew more of the details.
Yeah.
There was much more finalized. There's still stuff coming out today as Fallout on pick protections and swaps and stuff that's in there on these things. So, but yeah, thanks, man. Like, and you said it right in the comment back to him. You're comparing apples and oranges. Woj breaking the news. We're breaking down the news, like two completely different jobs. And yeah, if somebody wants to start paying us millions, I am happy to stay up all hours of the night and pop on here every time there's a news story to be discussed. But the reality is that's not what we do, and that's not what we're being paid to do.
Well, and you and I are both, especially, well, for me, especially with Lakers, like I have literally dropped everything with family at the second news comes out and jumped on. But we've done it as well with front office. We've done stuff in the middle of the night when Kevin Durant got traded. But like with what the reason why Woj was awake when all of this went down was because he heard about it the previous morning,
hours before. Yeah,
like he knew he needed to stay up and get this scoop. Maybe he had some inkling that Shams would not be awake, and so this was his extra chance. I don't know that, but
maybe.
But so he knew ahead of time. Like if I knew ahead of time, hey, this big trade's going to go down at 3 a.m. Eastern or whatever it was. Okay, yeah, then I'll be up and awake for it. But we don't, there was one person privy to all of that info, and again, he makes millions to do that.
If the first, rumors of it, appearance by Carly here in the background. If the first rumors had come out at like 11 p.m. Eastern, I would have still been up, and I would have stayed up. And in Murphy's Law says we both would have stayed up way later than we should have, and nothing would have happened. And then it would have happened the next morning when we were trying to catch up on sleep from staying up the night before. But yeah, I don't know. It just you handled it already in the comments, so I didn't jump in. But thanks, dude, and thanks for watching. We appreciate it. You watched and listened anyway, so we appreciate that. But yeah, the Malcom Brogdon stuff. Yeah. Change of agency is always interesting, right? That's always kind of, what's going on? My guess is for Malcom Brogdon, this is tied to the idea of wherever I'm traded to next, because I think we all assume he's probably not going to stay with Portland long term. Wherever I go next, I want to get an extension done and be locked in, and I'm going to trust Clutch Sports to lock that in. Of course, everybody immediately said, oh, so this is who D'Angelo Russell's getting traded for in a few months, and all the jokes that were made about that stuff. So I'm not going to say it's no way that's going to happen, because, yeah, of course it could happen, but I don't think that's, where we're I don't think things are lining up that way. It's the Lakers and the whole sign only clutch client stuff it's always been a little overblown, and it's even been like less true in recent years, I think, but it is what it is. People are gonna have fun with it.
That's definitely something that's been waning over the years. I mean, there was a point where it was like half their team.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's anyway, it's still gonna come up, and that's fine. But
yeah, I mean, if people want to joke with it and have fun, that's fine. It's it is what it is. But this does signal to me, though, Malcom Brogdon's not. I'm not going to say long for the Trailblazers, because it's going to go all the way to the trade deadline. I think his importance to them is heightened with Simons out, because they need another guard in the rotation, and there's just times when Scoot's just not ready. And you can't be throwing all your games away in October and November, because that just leads to a place where then the players are completely discouraged. So you kind of go for it, and if you lose, you lose. It is what it is. But that's why Brogdon's there, is to try to help them just, grow up a little bit. And hey, we have a chance to win tonight, like they did the other night again in Toronto. Brogdon was the one who closed that game at the end with the ball in his hands on every play, because they had a chance to win. So then that's the difference, right? Players and coaches don't tank. Organizations tank. And what may happen is Brogdon may end up not available for games later, or maybe full on traded away if they start going and winning too many games and they're not happy with it. But as it is right now, he's important to that roster.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think Brogdon may want to leave Portland. Portland probably will move him at some point too. It's in their best interest, but it just may not be today. It'll be a little. Remember, December 15th is when the guys who signed over the summer, most of them become trade eligible. So even though we had this big James Harden trade, it doesn't mean that's going to spark a flurry of trades around the NBA or anything. Usually December 15th officially marks the start of trade season. And even then, we don't see deals getting done until typically like mid-January. And then, of course, the trade deadline approaches on February 8th. And sometimes we have a really fun trade deadline and a lot goes down. And then sometimes we don't. You just never know.
Dude, that was unplanned, perfect mind meld, because that's where I was going next was, hey, let's not all start firing up the trade machines, because we're probably done with trades for at least a month and a half now. It'll maybe a very small one will squeak in here or there, but yeah, we're done for a little bit. I mean, the first big one last year was the Hachimura trade, and that was in like early January, right? Like somewhere around like the 8th or 9th, if I remember right.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, so that's generally you'll get one or two in the mid to late December range, mid December to early January range. You'll get one might squeak in there, but it's most of that will pick up after January 15th, when basically everyone is trade eligible, minus the guys who aren't going to be trade eligible till after the trade deadline and into the summer and all that stuff.
Well, Keith, you mentioned the mind meld. I almost said something about it that didn't. You talked about how the candy that you snuck was Reese's Pieces. That was also the candy that I stole from my daughter's stash.
Man, it's meant to be. We should change the logo, get some yellow in there and brown.
There we go.
Orange, yellow, and brown. Yeah, there it is.
All right, last thing we've got, Carlik Jones signs in China. What is the significance of this, kid? Why did you make me put this in our show?
Yeah, I did make you put it in there. It's absolutely true. Carlik Jones can play, man. At the World Cup last year for South Sudan, who went further than anybody thought they would go. They made it into the knockout phase of the World Cup. He averaged 20.4 points on 48, 42, 78 shooting splits. So really good. 4.8 rebounds and 10.4 assists in that period against only 1.8 turnovers. And that's for a South Sudan team that, like, Wenyan Gabriel was on that team. They had some guys who could play, but like he really was like the guy who is the engine. He has absolutely dominated at the G League level for 2 straight years. Last year in the G League with the Bulls G League team, 23.5 points per game, 7.1 assists. G League assists are a little wonky because it's much more of a scoring league than it is. Good shooting splits there at the G League level, 49, 37, 78. G League shooting splits. So just the guy can play. This is just a further addition to, there's guys who can play that aren't in the NBA, and there's more room for these players. He got cut really late by the Bulls, almost too late to catch on somewhere else, unless he was like, yeah, I'll take another 2-way spot somewhere. So I would just file this name away. I bet he goes over, absolutely dominates in China, will put up a ton of stats and play really, really well. And then the Chinese basketball season generally ends around mid-March. We're all back to kind of on our traditional calendars with this stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if you see him pop back to the NBA as a late season addition to somebody's roster late in the year. And it's probably going to be one of those, all right, we get a little bit of an exception left, or we'll do a 2-year minimum type deal and sign him so we get him into next year too. So just file it away for now. Carlik Jones can play. He's going to put up major stats over in China. I'll put him on my list of guys I monitor worldwide to see, who could pop back to the NBA. And well, at some point when things really slow down, we'll talk about like who are the best guys not in the NBA. We'll have that discussion, but he's going to be high on that list.
All right. Somebody to keep an eye on then that maybe could become a factor here in the NBA mid-season. I think that's it for today.
We might not be up at 2 a.m., but we're monitoring dudes in China. So
That's right. Well, so that counts for something. That's got to count for something. Everybody, thank you for joining us. Make sure you do subscribe to the NBA Front Office Show on YouTube. Follow us over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. Again, hope you all had a very, very happy Halloween. Safe one. I can't believe it's November, but here we are. That means all the stores have their Christmas displays up already. And in fact, I
Did you
saw
see the tweet?
some had them up a few weeks ago.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. In the Christmas commercial starting before Halloween, stop.
Yep.
Like, I love Christmas, but save it till November 1st. But did you see the guy's tweet? It went viral this morning. He's like, walked into Starbucks this morning, and I was like, something's weird. What is going on here? He said, I got my coffee. I sat down. He said, it took me a while, and then I realized, oh, they're playing Christmas music. He's like, that's what's got me a little thrown off. So,
right.
Yeah, just let Halloween have its thing, right? I think we've all given up on Thanksgiving's never going to get its full due, right? But
no.
It is what it is.
It gets skipped over. It gets skipped over, and then next thing you know, it's Christmas time. So, I get it. I get it. I'm not a huge Halloween or Thanksgiving person myself, so I'm always like just kind of waiting, chomping at the bit to get into Christmas mode. But even I think you gotta give it some time. There's got to be a little bit of breathing room. Makes it more special. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear it. Let's get excited for the holiday. I don't need to start it. I mean, here living in Orlando, Disney does their Christmas parties like starting. The first one's probably today or tomorrow. They do their Halloween party starting in August. Like, it's crazy. And I get they do them because not everybody's going to be here in October, but it's like, wow, we're like hit over the head with these holidays months in advance. And then by the time it gets there, I'm like Scrooge and I'm like, bah humbug, let me out of it.
I'm over this.
Yeah, mostly I'm ready for 5 basketball games, each in their own window that are usually pretty great. So, but yeah, man, I'm with you. I can't believe it's already November. The year's zipping right by, but we're full on in it. We're full on in the NBA season now.
Yep. Here we go. All right. Thank you again, everybody, for joining us. Till next time. See ya and stay safe.